Come on in, welcome to the channel. Make sure you hit a like and subscribe for that algorithm so that more people can see this type of content. And today, well, we got another case of fuck around and find out, but let's just let's see what we got.
After shooting the victim multiple times, he left and then returned to the crime scene to open fire once again. Police say video from the neighborhood led them to the alleged killer, 18-year-old Orlando Perez, now held without bond. Investigators say Perez had gone home with the victim, 37-year-old Selena Reyes Hernandez, shortly after meeting her on the morning of May 31st. And in her basement apartment in Marquette Park, Perez learned Reyes Hernandez was transgender.
The offender became very upset. He left the residence. He became more upset, and that's when he came back to the residence, and then he brutally murdered the victim in this case.
Prosecutors say Perez returned to the apartment a third time, again opening fire on the victim's lifeless body. Investigators able to track his alleged movements after gathering more than 24 videos. And police say this image on the victim's phone showed Perez in the residence, at his home were the apparent clothes he had been wearing, and a gun, authorities say, with the same type of bullets used in the shooting. After shooting the victim multiple times, he left and then returned to the crime scene to open fire once again. Police say video from the neighborhood led them to the alleged killer.
Wow, there's so much to unpack here. There's a lot to unpack here. First and foremost, they said that this child, because he's really a child, you're still a child. I still consider you to be a child at 17 and 18. But he was a 12th grader, so he's still in school. The first thing I want to unpack here is, at 17 or 18 years old, what are you doing with a handgun? What are you doing with a handgun at 17 and 18 years old? Why do you even have it? It's doing nothing but inviting you into a situation that you're not going to be able to get yourself out of, right? So it was obvious that he was already starting off on the wrong foot, because again, if you're in possession, listen, at 17 and 18, I was still in school. Granted, did I skip some of my classes? Yes. Was I taking school absolutely serious? No, I was not. Not at 12th grade. Not in my senior year. I was not taking school seriously. But I was a nerd, right? I was playing Dungeons and Dragons with my friends. I was going, I spent my time going over to my friend's house, hanging out. And, if I was hanging out somewhere, that's where I was. I wasn't on street corners. I wasn't in the streets. Despite me being from that type of culture, and despite me being from the projects and the hood and all that shit, that's not where I knew that I did not want to lead a life that revolved around that sort of activity. So when I was in school, when I was in high school, I was a nerd, right? I did not do anything that I thought would bring me harm or my family harm. And more importantly, I didn't want to disappoint my mother, right? I did not want to disappoint her. Now, my grades wasn't up to par. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do academically, but socially, I was very socially responsible. So that's one part of this. That's the first part. What is a 12th grade senior doing with a handgun? What you need it for? If you need a handgun at 18, then you already started off on the wrong path. You need to reset. That's number one, right? Number two, I believe that they said that the victim was 37 years old, if I heard that correctly or read that correctly. What is a 37-year-old doing linking up with a child? Now, granted, we don't know where they met. Right? We have no clue where they met, because we're all going off of what we just heard and the context of these videos and the context of the post. So I don't know. Could have met her out on the corner. Could have met him somewhere. I'm not sure. But let's just say that for the sake of discussion, that we put everything into context and we put everything where it belongs. You have a 37-year-old messing around and going after a high school student. Why are you preying on high school students? You're 37. You're damn near 40 years old. You have no business approaching anyone in a high school. Let me say, a lot of these people, a lot of these weirdos, and a lot of these people that have these fetishes, what they do is, y'all remember being in school, in high school, and I remember the older cats coming up there, driving up to the school with their cars, picking up girls. I remember it. I remember it like it was yesterday. You knew the ones. You knew the chicks that was going with the older dudes to go ahead and bust it open later on. You knew the girls that was going with the older dudes that was getting picked up from school, that was skipping class, that was going with these dudes to come back with some money later. You knew what they was doing. We knew that they was on their knees somewhere. You knew that they was doing exchanging favors for money. You knew the girls that was doing that. Hell, some of them was doing it right on the school campus, right on school grounds. And I said that to say that this is nothing new. People praying and waiting on people and on high schoolers. This is nothing. This is why I say protect your children. This is why I say protect your children to the best of your ability. You need to be in their business. This shit today where we want to be friends with our kids. We want to be their homies. We want to be their dogs. That's not your role. That's not your role. You got a responsibility to know what it is that your child is into, to know what it is that they're doing. That's your responsibility. And today we have all types. See, today is different in school. When I was in school, from when I was in school. When I was in school, we could skip class. You could have 37 absences and nobody called your home. Nobody called your house. Today is different. If my son is late, I'm getting a phone call. And I'm getting a phone call immediately, not at the end of the day. I'm getting a phone call immediately. Christian's late. Where you at? Where you at? It's different today. So we don't even have the excuse today that we had back then when I was going to school. Because back then there was nothing. There was a lack of cameras, right? For the most part. Cameras were not really instated in school when I was going to school. Now, all of that has changed. So you have a responsibility as a parent to know what it is that your child is doing. That's one. Two, why are you preying on... They said that this person... So you approach this boy, got this boy back home to your basement. He finds out that you got a third leg. He finds out that your voice is go a little bit deeper than what you portrayed and what you exposed, and what you revealed upon meeting him. He finds out that you got a little bit more testosterone than you should normally have. He finds out that it's something right there that don't quite look right. You got a little knot right there. And so what does he do? He gets angry. He's pissed off. He came there for something else. He pissed. So he goes and he retrieves the gun that he had no business having. This is what I mean when I say having a gun at 17, 18-year-old does nothing but invite trouble. It does nothing but invite a situation that you can't handle. That's all it do. That's all it does is expedite you to get your ass locked up somewhere. That's it. It's just an easy doorway and access to get you on up out of here early. That's it. That's all it is. You don't need it for protection. Unless you gang affiliated. That's a whole nother thing. So he leaves, he's angry, he goes home, grabs the gun. Go get the gun. Right? He goes and gets the gun. He's so angry, in the time from him leaving her crib or its crib, from the time he got home, he hadn't cooled off none. At no point during that transition did he say, you know what, I'm tripping. Nah, he was still heated. I'm going back. I'm about to put something hot on him. Teach him a lesson. And that's exactly what he did. Goes home, gets the gun, he's angry, goes back, returns to the home, puts something hot on him. Then they said he was so angry that he left the scene after killing him, returned to the scene. Returned to the scene to fill up the body with, so he went to reload. He went all the way home to reload and come back and make sure that this wasn't going to happen to nobody else. You will be the last. This will be your last outing. Goes back, pumps the dead body full of more heat. And you still have people out here arguing the case of if transgenders should let people know off the rip whether or not they're transgender or not. We still arguing that? How is that still an argument? Somebody please let me know. How is that still an argument that we arguing whether or not transgenders should let the person know that they're potentially about to get involved with, especially sexually? How are we still arguing that there is a case for transgenders to not be transparent when they approach people? How are we still arguing that? Y'all better stop playing. It is not a game. Y'all better stop playing. Listen, every man is different. Every man is different. One man's extreme is not necessarily the next man's extreme. One man's cooler heads is another man's extreme. Oh, I need to take you down. I need to take you to the grave. There are some men that are willing to die on that hill. Obviously, this kid was willing to die on that hill. He was willing to die for it. He's willing to die to prove the point. That you tried to finesse me. You tried to take advantage of me. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is. Absolutely tried to take advantage of him. Try to take advantage of him. Let's get into some of the comments. First comment says, men do not play about that shit. Somebody said, free Orlando. Somebody else said, not sad at all. Tell these people up front and allow them to make a decision. Sorry, not sorry. And I absolutely agree with that. You allow the person to make the decision. You don't do it. How you going to make your mind up for somebody else? Allow the person, give grace for the person to make the decision if they want to still mess with you or not. Because you're playing a very, very dangerous game if you choose not to do that. Understand that you're playing a very, very dangerous game. See, nobody talks about that in the trans community. Nobody talks about that when you have all of these legislators and all these people and all these affiliates getting involved with transgender wars and all of this shit and advocating for them. Nobody brings this discussion to the topic or to the forefront. Nobody tells them that you should probably be more transparent about what you are and what you do and how you handle yourself out here socially when you're out here on the scene. Nobody speaks about that. Nobody talks about how it's literally taking advantage of people and putting them in a crazy situation. Y'all just nasty. A lot of y'all is just fucking nasty, man. Somebody else says, so I get it, it's sad, but all of this could have been avoided had she disclosed what she was first. And the fact that she was preying on a child, yes. Now he's in jail for reacting how he was supposed to. Well, I disagree with that. He wasn't supposed to react that way. He was not supposed to react that way. I disagree with that because now his life is done. But I just have a feeling that if it wasn't going to be this situation, he was going to be in trouble for something else because what the fuck you doing with a gun anyway? Says he felt violated, free him. Let's change the headline. A 12th grade child was abducted by a 37-year-old predator, and the child protected himself because he probably felt uncomfortable, and the predator happened to be trans. Free this boy now. Well, you can't say that you were protecting yourself when you left the scene and then came back twice. That's where the argument is going to fall apart. I'm letting you know now. That's where your argument is going to fall apart. You can't say I was protecting myself when you left the scene and then you came back to the scene twice and put more bullets in it. That's not going to cut it. Unfortunately, both of their lives are done. Somebody else says, I'm sorry, those of y'all in the comments saying free this child. Last time I checked, 18 is an adult. Listen, I know what the law says. We all know what the law says. 18 is not an adult. At 18, your brain is not even developed, bro. At 18, you can't even think straight. At 18, you still thinking about what girl you can get with. At 18, you ain't thinking about responsibility. You still thinking about having fun. That is not adult behavior. 18 is not an adult age. I don't care what nobody say. Say he was aware of what he was doing. That I agree with. I'm not saying it was right. She should have, one, never took old boy home. Two, disclosed her sexual orientation. Now, on this man's part, y'all are well aware about this gen, ready to hook up with almost anyone. That is a fact. That is a fact. Literally, it's disgusting how easy y'all want and give it up. The fact he went back shows the capacity of his mental state. After someone's unconscious, you do not go back with a gun and shoot him, and that's where he's going to lose. That's where he's going to lose his case. How did this kid get a gun then? What did I say? Well, ain't that what I said? Isn't that the question that I posed first? What are you doing with a gun? I'm sorry, nowadays 18 years old carry to look hard or they're drug dealing. So answer that from you. Why should he be freed? Because he was preyed upon? Kids should have had a strong headspace to go home or do whatever it is he did. He went willingly. Whatever was going through his head, he should have never gone back. That's what invalidates the situation. If he killed her in the moment, I say free him. The fact he went back shows he's psychotic. That's overkill. It definitely is overkill. It definitely is overkill. And again, what are you doing outside trying to pick up grown women at 18 years old? What are you doing? What are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
To those of you transgenders that don't think you have a responsibility to let the person know that you're potentially about to have a sexual situation with, this is your proof. This is all the proof you need right here. All the proof you need right here. If you're gonna go around pretending to be something that you're not, just understand the danger that comes with it.